Hi there. My name is Anand Venkatesan. I'm the founder of mentorscapital.com, a platform that connects students with mentors across the globe and helps them make better admission and career related decisions. Well, if you're a college student or a working professional and are looking to apply to a university for your undergraduate or master's program, chances are sources of funding can be very critical for you. Remember, undergraduate and master's programs in the US, UK, Canada, Europe, and Australia can cost you anywhere between 30 to 40 lakhs and maybe even upwards of a crore. In this video and the series of about 8 to 10 videos, I will be covering various sources of scholarships, fellowships, and other funding sources. Hopefully, if you're going to embark on your admission journey, then these tips can be really useful for you to decide how to fund your study abroad needs. All right, so let's get started. When you talk about financial aid or financial support, it's very important to understand that you can probably fund your education in many ways. Besides the usual, funding source, which is your own income or maybe that of your parents, some of the most important sources of financial support can be university and government sources of funding, right? Most universities that you apply to will have some sort of institutional aid. This could be in the form of assistantships or fellowships or other such kinds of grants. Besides these, most universities and colleges also offer merit scholarships. Thus, students who are applying can be selected for a scholarship on the basis of your academics, leadership potential, extracurricular activities, and versatility. Last but not the least is obviously need-based funding. In this case, a student needs to demonstrate that his or her financial status, that of his own family, does not cover the cost of his education, his or her education. Thus, need-based funding can take care of a substantial portion of your tuition and living expenses. Besides university and public funds, there are a host of other sources available to fund your education abroad. These include grants offered by private, non-governmental, and corporate sources. These could take the form of, again, scholarships, grants, bursaries, and fellowships. And last but not the least are student loans. Well, most universities, most countries have corporate players and banks that offer student loans at very nominal rates. This allows the student to take avail of a student loan and repay the same once he or she starts earning. So these are the major sources of funding. But before I go ahead and discuss each of these in a little more detail, let me quickly tell you a little more about our platform, mentorscapital.com. Just as the name suggests, our philosophy is that mentorship is at the core of making better decisions. These could be with regard to choosing a career, a course, or even a university or a geography. Understanding career prospects and course or subject related queries from the mentor who has walked the same path as you can really help you make better choices. And in fact, this is obviously a byproduct of a better grounded practical perspective. Not just that, mentorship also helps you plan your testing strategy, also helps you prepare better admission essays and recommendation letters, and finally helps you tackle those personal interviews with much aplomb. So how exactly does it work? Well, all you need to do is visit our website www.mentorscapital.com, and once you reach the study abroad page, you'll find that there's a host of mentors from different geographies, backgrounds, and fields. All you need to do is find a mentor who matches your exact study needs, or maybe comes with the same background as you, or is currently employed in a sector that really intrigues you. Once you find a mentor who fits in with your requirements, simply put in a request and we can arrange for a one-on-one call with that mentor over the Zoom app. Well, not just that, besides one-on-one mentorship, we also offer a host of other services that can really make your admission journey very, very smooth. These include college shortlisting, preparing for tests like the GRE, GMAT, TOEFL, IELTS, or even the SAT, writing very, very impactful admission essays and creating impactful letters of recommendations. And finally, acing the last step of the mile, which is personal interviews and other video assessments and essays. Well, our comprehensive services are all backed by mentors who will identify with your journey as well as can throw a perspective on your chosen field or specialization. So remember, mentorship is at the heart of every single service that we offer. So what are you waiting for? Just visit www.mentorscapital.com and get your admission journey started today. Coming back to our agenda, let me first begin with sources of institutional aid. Thus, I'm going to talk about sources that are available at the university level or maybe the country of your destination. These include, first and foremost, bursaries. Now, more often than not, bursaries are a form of need-based scholarship. Thus, if you've displayed adequate academic and co-curricular merit, then universities are quite likely to extend you a bursary scholarship on account of your need or on account of your academic merit. Bursary scholarships and need-based scholarships are very, very similar to each other. Right? Need-based scholarships, besides being offered by the university itself, is also offered by federal grants. Thus, the candidate needs to specify his or her sources of financial income, both personal and that of the family, and showcase adequately that the sources of funding available to him or her are not adequate to meet your study needs. The third source of funding available at university or college level are merit scholarships. Now, merit scholarships can be incredibly competitive, right? Remember that there are very, very few merit scholarships available to international students, especially in countries like the US. Thus, it becomes imperative for you to plan ahead, for you to understand the governing criteria for these merit scholarships and try to incorporate some of those required elements in your profile. Start early and prepare a strong profile in order to avail of these merit scholarships. And last but not the least, when you're applying to public universities, especially for master's or postdoctoral programs, then chances are that you can also avail of assistantships in the form of research and teaching assistantships. Thus, you might be expected to perform the duties of either a teaching assistant or a research assistant. And both these cases, you will be shadowing a faculty member or a professor and assist him in his or her teaching or research duties. Well, teaching and research assistants are typically offered from year to year or semester to semester basis. So you might have to qualify for the same year on year through your program. Next up, I'll look at private and corporate sources of funding. These are funded by trusts or foundations set up by corporate bodies. The most common form of funding from private sources is merit scholarships. Merit scholarships are, I did talk about them, but usually when offered by private companies, merit scholarships can be extremely prestigious, but also equally competitive. Please read the fine print when you're applying to a merit scholarship. And in most cases, when you're applying for a private scholarship, it also becomes very, very critical to write a very impactful personal statement of how the brand of the trust or the foundation will benefit by providing you this scholarship. There are other subject-specific funding sources available in the form of institutional grants and awards. While public sources of funding are usually listed on the website of the university or the college, private sources of funding are usually listed on independent websites that are operated by the foundation or the trust or the grant. Thus, when you're applying for a specific area, there are corporates which offer fellowships and grants to researchers in that particular field. This includes areas such as social sciences, law, women empowerment, gender studies, public policy, climate change, and many, many more. A third source of private funding relates to your background in terms of race, religion, ethnicity, and gender. These are usually endowments made by popular personages or trusts or funds, and can be availed for people hailing from a specific ethnic background or gender or race. And last but not the least are fellowships, which can be extremely prestigious and add value to your resume, as well as give you sources of funding for your higher education needs. A fellowship usually requires you to conduct a doctoral research or a postdoctoral research, and can typically involve deep research into a specific area that the trust or the fellowship really is concerned about. So now that we've looked at the major sources of funding ranging from scholarships, grants, need-based scholarships, bursaries, and fellowships, let me give you a few general tips on how to go about finding relevant sources of funding and also creating a profile that can match up to the eligibility criteria. First and foremost is that do your research properly. Thus, if you've already zeroed in on a likely program or course and a likely geography, then please do visit the university website and look it over with a very keen eye, because most scholarships are listed on the university or the college website itself. And these typically come in two forms. Either your application to a scholarship is automatic, which means at the time of application for a particular program, your candidacy for scholarship is automatically considered. Alternatively, you might need to separately fill in scholarship forms for individual grants, fellowships, and scholarships. Please do your research well in advance so that you don't miss out on any of these deadlines that might come up around the application deadlines. Also, when you're doing your research, do not forget to look for country-specific or destination-specific sources. Thus, Commonwealth countries have specific scholarships awarded to them. United States offers federal aid even to international candidates in the form of fellowships and grants. Canada, Holland, Germany, and many other European nations offer specific sources of funding and scholarships to international candidates in order to boost the educational institutions and the vibrancy of the academic environment in their universities or colleges. Thus, they will be more than keen to take you on as a researcher and fund your education. Make sure that you cover all these sources when you're doing your research. Thirdly, don't forget that a lot of these private sources of funding are available in very niche fields. Thus, if you're from the field of law, arts, humanities, fine arts, design, gender studies, public policy, and social sciences, then chances are that there are subject-specific endowments and fellowships that you can avail of. Don't forget to check them out as well. And lastly, make sure that you understand the background that you possess. More often than not, we forget that there are alumni who have walked the same path as we have, and so they are more than generous to enable your education needs. Thus, look for Asia-based scholarships or fellowships. Look for ethnic, ethnically qualifying scholarships or grants, and many other such sources which can actually fund, if not your entire tuition fee, at least part of your study abroad needs. And lastly, I must say that there are plenty of online sources and databases that can spruce up your research. Don't limit yourself to 1 or 2 days of research. Make sure that you allocate at least a couple of weeks and more in order to study all possible websites and databases. Because remember, more often than not, scholarships end up going unapplied for, right? Which means that very few candidates go the extra mile in applying for scholarships. And so these sources of funding are sometimes underutilized. A little bit of research and foresight can really go a long way in getting you, the required source of funding and making your study abroad needs a reality. Finally, also understand what are your inputs. Most, merit-based or academic scholarships are linked to your academic performance, which means that if you're intending to study abroad and want to create a profile that can get you a scholarship, make sure that your undergraduate programs and school programs that you score a very high GPA on the same. Number two, most scholarships look at leadership potential and a vivacity or initiative within individuals. Thus, all awards and recognitions that sort of highlight your leadership potential and the holistic personality that you have can really go a long way in making your profile strong. Some scholarships are limited to people with a few years of professional experience, right? So make sure that you understand where and which scholarships require those. Standardized testing can also sometimes increase your chances of availing of scholarships or fellowships. And lastly, understand that there are research areas which can really improve the chances of you meeting funding. Thus, understanding your research areas and doing preliminary research in those particular domains can really tell the scholarship or the trust that you are a candidate that they should not take lightly. Well, that was a quick overview of the various sources of funding available to a study abroad aspirant. If you like this video, don't forget to subscribe and press the like button. Thanks a lot for your time. You have a great day and week ahead. And do keep following my videos. Like I said, the next bunch of videos are going to focus on specific sources of funding that are applicable to candidates from India. If you have any specific queries or pointers for the next set of videos, do write into me at anand@mentorscapital.com. Alternatively, you can also drop me a WhatsApp text at the number displayed on the screen. And if not, well, just visit our website, mentorscapital.com, and leave behind a request for a call back, and we'll be sure to solve every single need that you have. Thank you, and have all the best with your application and admission journey.